Bum bum dum bum bum dum. City news. I'm playing more Sultai Living End, and this might be my last try with this deck. I'm not a big fan of Sultai. I'm playing the same main board as before, but over in the sideboard, I'm not playing any inevitable betrayals because I found that people are just playing around that card now, so it's not doing as well. In its place, I'm trying Collector Ufi and another Commandeer. Maybe another Ashiok if we want to beat Titan. I don't know. I haven't really I haven't been as impressed with the Sultai sideboard as I have been with the Bant sideboard. The cards just don't hit quite as hard. Anyway, let's get into the games. Pretty good opening hand here. Just need a third land. Well, I got it with the int, so our game one plan should be uncontested here. And I'll just get the basic forest. In case we never draw a third land. Oh, we drew it. I had no reason to shock myself there. Playing a little bit loose. Maybe that's the reason I'm not having success. I'm just going to get Street Wraith back because it's free to put into the graveyard. Opponent's on red-green, and then they fetch a blue-red tap land. This could be any number of decks. This could be some sort of affinity deck. This could be prowess. This could be storm. Okay, it's an Emery deck. We do have a better sideboard for Emery deck. I'm going to look for Force of Negation. And I am taking a lot of damage here. Okay, I think what we do is we just take this, obviously. And I'm not going to dump any Shardless Agents. Or, sorry, any Subtleties. One thing you can do is just pitch Subtlety for no value, just to get more bodies, but I'm not going to do that. I think our graveyard should be pretty good. Well, it's not that good. But now I can keep them from casting things like Slick Shot Show Off for a little bit. Another Steel Cutter. That's a little bit obnoxious. So what did opponent bin? They binned no creatures, so another Living End wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing in the world. Yeah, at least I've got blockers for this stuff. And I'm not even that opposed to some of my creatures biting the dust here. It would make a subsequent Living End better. Yeah, I hope they just attack. I mean, obviously that'd be a terrible attack. I hope they bring him up to like one more power and toughness and then attack. Repeal. What are they targeting in Mox Amber? Okay. So they can make 5/5s now. I'm kind of okay with that. Although the problem is they just get these creatures back every turn. So we're not really going anywhere. But I will chump block to stop myself from taking damage. Double block there. Single block there. And we can play another Overlord and get Charlotte's Agent back. There are 2 Living Ends in my graveyard. They go after me with the Lightning Bolt. And with one more spell, they'll be able to take out this Generous Ent. And they've got it. Well, need a good draw. Or I need them to just be out of stuff. Okay, got what I wished for. The opponent attacked. And they're going to go up to 3 cards next turn. That's probably going to be lethal. So I think my best course of action here is to fetch the island out of my deck and then cycle, hoping to hit another Shardless Agent. And now our opponent just has lethal, so I'm going to go ahead and concede it up. Yeah. And this is where I don't think Sultai is very good in these matchups that are really just cascade check matchups. Like, Sultai is allegedly better at grinding, but part of the grind in Living End is you grind cards out of your opponent's hand by forcing them to respond to your cascade triggers. And when you can't do that, like your ability to go long is almost kind of meaningless because you're kind of just playing a draft game. Do I want... I think I definitely want Dismember. Do I want Harvester of Misery for Emery? I think I do. I think I want Mystical. So I've brought in quite a bit. Take out Street Wraith. Steam Core, Curator, Subtlety, I think is what we take out. That's just vibe boarding. That's not anything official. And a garbage hand. At least I get to put back the Living End from this hand. Well, as much as I would like to cast Endurance, I also just need to draw a Cascade spell. And put a creature in my graveyard. But that's why I left the 4 Endurances in the deck. I actually think it's quite good in this matchup, especially if you can draw the game to kind of a halt. Blocks their flyers well. Alright, Foundation Breaker's pretty good draw. If they go to Quarry it up next turn. Normally I think Foundation Breaker versus this deck is a trap, but with the Sultai version, I think it's a little better. Quarry Steelcutter does so much damage the turn it comes into play often that if you're Foundation Breaking it, you're just kind of a turn behind. Ooh, nice. So the question is, if they cast Quarry Steelcutter here, what would I Foundation Breaker? And the good news is I don't have to answer that question. Nice. Let's get Sewers. Nice. That went really well. One of the few times it looks like Halo Forager might do its job. I'm going to evoke. I don't think it's worth waiting another turn, because construct tokens are a real menace to Living End. And now I've got Force of Negation up. Subtlety is probably not going to matter too much. Alright, we force them to use a Consigned Memory to save their land. I think that's a win as well. Opponent does have 7 cards in hand. They likely have more reactive spells. I will be forcing anything I can, pretty much. Yep, not interested in that. And then I'm going to go for Living End again, because if this Urza Saga pops, they can probably go get a Tormod's Crypt or something. And even though my graveyard's not the best, it would take out an Urza Saga. Hopefully we draw like a Cycler here. Boom. Best draw, I think, in the deck. We will get... guess my second black. Yeah, they could consign the Halo Forager trigger. They're looking for a force of negation, it seems. Opponent scooped to really not that much of a threat, but I'll take it. Yeah, don't argue. Do I want Commandeer? I think that game showed us that subtlety is bad. I would rather have either just more acceleration in the form of Street Wraith or more interaction in the form of maybe a Commandeer or a Force of Vigor. I actually think I want Force of Vigor. They are playing, they're not just prowess, they're like heavy into artifact prowess because they're playing Emery. Okay, this hand doesn't have much in the way of interacting specifically with our artifact-based opponent, but it does have to start slinging cascade spells at him. And I can defend myself from a Core Steel Cutter. I'm not going to force that. Emery is a good one there. Kind of wish I had a subtlety for that. All right, what do they put into their graveyard? That's one consign out of their deck. They got a Mishra's Bauble. I don't want to force this. Because if I force that, it doesn't even reduce their permanent count. It's just a card draw spell is all it is. Okay. Opponent had a pretty good first turn. But we've got a tap land. No Urza Saga is pretty big too. I'm glad they did not play one. Now, if they had one, they wouldn't play it on turn one, though. In order to get Emery in play. Nice. We dodged the Urza Saga for another turn. Urza Saga is like one of the best cards against Living End. It applies so much indirect pressure. And I will not be dealing with that Core Steel Cutter. Unfortunately, that means we're down to one Cascade spell, but we could always pick up another one with this Overlord. Yep, opponent bobbles it up. And they're burning a lot of artifact spells here. These are things that could be triggering prowess later. Do need to go fetch up a black land. Not to be racist or anything. Pay the 2. Yes, and I guess we'll take... I don't know if I want to take Harvester. I guess I'll take... I mean, I have to take something here. I should have looked first. I guess picking up the additional blue card could be significant later in the game. So when Harvester enters play, it'll take out anything that they happen to have in play. But that's not going to be anything right now, so it's just going to be a 5/4. Maybe that's a sign I should just be casting Steam Core Scholar on turn 3, and then on turn 4 going for a Cascade with Mystical backup. I think it'll depend on how much pressure our opponent can deploy. Shout out to the Panera Sip Club. I got 3 months of it for $9. They've been repealing over there. Opponent stays repealed. Oh, look, Mux Amber again. All right. The fact that they just played a Tameo now is kind of making me want to go for... And they only have one card in hand, so I want to go for a Cascade now. I don't want to deal with this Tameo. Well, darn it. That only gets one creature out of our graveyard, though. And I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to Cascade next turn. Oh, really? What do? They go for a living end. Interesting. I guess they're more afraid of Halo Forager. I was more of a fan of Halo 1, 2, and 3. I think Halo 4 had too many QuickTime events and just wasn't interesting. And also Master Chief talked way too much. You know, part of the allure of Master Chief was he didn't say anything. I'm going to avoid hurting myself here and go for a living end. Opponent has one card in hand, so we're safe from Force of Negation. Well, we're not, because they could just cast it. Pretty good chance this resolves. And we at least wipe their board away, hopefully. I'm glad I brought in that Force of Vigor. This isn't so much a prowess deck as it is an artifact deck that has Corey Steelcutter. Why didn't they use Soul Guide Lantern? I guess some things we'll just never know. And I have no plays. Neither do they. Wow, opponent is just getting getting the business over there. I think what I'll do is play the Misty. Attack with my Menace creature. They can make an artifact to block, so I'm not going to attack with Charlotte's Agent. And then, do I want to... I think what I want to do is actually cast Steam Core Scholar. Next turn I can just hard cast Overlord. I don't think I need to Living End anymore this game. There's only one left in my deck. Discard matching, I'll discard Sync. Maybe could have gotten rid of 2 lands there. Yeah, opponent makes a big creature. And now they can go get like a Shadow Spear, perhaps? So maybe pitching the Sync was a bad idea? Opponent's going to have some 6/6s. Let's see what they get. No, just Tormod's Crypt. Well, I mean, you didn't use your Soul Guide Lantern. Maybe they're missing cards? I don't know. This is odd to me. I would have been getting a Shadow Spear or that haste equipment. Because they do have 2 6/6s that are winning the race. Do I want to counter that? Opponent seems like they're struggling. Should I just counter the card draw? So my mana's spoken for next turn. Yeah, I think I'll counter this. Just slow down their acceleration. Oh, you know what? Mox Amber. They don't have any legends. Yeah, they can't make 3 mana. Okay. I can at least attack. I don't know why the toughness is affected. I can at least... I'm going to take that. I'm going to attack with the flyer and play an Overlord. Endurance is not a bad draw. But it's not what I need. Oh no, I don't have any... I don't have any untapped forests. I'll keep Otawara on top. That's a good one. I want to hardcast Overlord. So I'm not going to impend it, which sounds like suspend, but is slightly different. This has menace. Yeah, I should have attacked. Darn, opponent would be at 3. I'm not playing very well. Maybe that's why I don't do very well. I was a little bit scared of that trample haste artifact, but they didn't get it. I think my mindset was still in last turn where I was planning on blocking with Harvester, so I just did it again. And I really like Endurance in this situation. Opponent tries to make use of their graveyard. Boom, we're going to get him. Tamio. Can they draw a third card? They can draw one from Soul Guide. Can they draw a third card with Tamio? No, they can't because Tamio is the last card in their hand. I actually liked that guy. Tamio's not in their hand, but it's in exile. Okay. Why can't I? It did not. Oh my gosh, I accidentally clicked off that. So I meant to cast Endurance. Oh my gosh. I meant to cast Endurance before blocks, but apparently at some point I clicked this tiny icon to remove that priority. Okay, well at least now I can kill one of these with combat damage. The other one will get Otawara next turn, and opponent will have nothing. That was so stupid. There's Tamio. No need to do this now, but I'll do it now. And now I can bounce. Goodbye, opponent's graveyard. I can bounce that big artifact. And Tamio doesn't do any damage. And also have this coming off in pen next turn. One, two, three, four. I could do both. I could take... I don't want to take any more damage than I have to, because opponent could have like a Lava Dart. I already can't beat the card Lightning Bolt, so I'm not going to try. Opponent has no cards in hand, so I'm not... Well, next turn they could attack and then flip Soul Guide and spend the Clue token to flip Tamio. But I'm going to let them go to combat thinking that I'm just going to chump block with my construct, or their construct with my Overlord. Then I'm going to Otawara it. I don't care about Tamio anymore. Their graveyard's not a resource at the moment, and I still have big enough creatures that I can attack through her plus ability. All right, we have the stop. Gosh, almost lost because of a Magic Online stop. Ugh. Although this might have been the right play anyway. Yeah, like what are they going to do? You've got one card plus Clue token plus Soul Guide Lantern to draw your way out of this. And opponent doesn't even seem to know that Soul Guide Lantern has any abilities. Okay, they're going to cast whatever they drew. No, they're just going to draw it. The card with Soul Guide Lantern. Well, they have 3 cards in hand, but I have lethal damage. Hopefully we just avoid Lightning Bolt. Okay, it's post-combat, so Corey Steelcutter is not the most threatening. They trigger it. So Balemerk is attacking for 4. Opponent has 1 card in hand. Another bounce spell would be Swell. They have to block. If I get to attack with Overlord, they have to block with Monk Token. If I attack with Endurance, that's not lethal. Steam Core, is that better than Overlord? No, there's no way. Now, if our opponent draws another Corey Steel Cutter, we could be in trouble. There's no point in attacking with both, and there's no point in attacking Tameo. Sky Turtle would be huge to bin here. Exiles our graveyard, but that doesn't matter because there's no Sky Turtle in it. Another thing I could have done is, yes, I'll use the ability, and I will get Foundation Breaker. That was a good draw. Okay. I think second main, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can cast 2 spells here. I definitely want one of them to be, well, let's start with Steam Core Scholar, because that gives us more options. Discard the Curator, and then Evoke. Kill the threatening thing, yes. Okay. 2 chump blockers. Should be able to do this unless the opponent has Lightning Bolt. No Lightning Bolt in the graveyard for the opponent to resurrect. Alright, 1-0. Round number 2, we've kept an absolute banger. I'm going to break from my current pattern of always playing Hedge Maze on turn 1, and I'm going to cycle the Int. With what the kids are calling Overgrown Tomb. Some people call this card Pizza Tower, but they are stupid. Get the breeding pool. Opponent is also on a Scalding Tarn deck. I'll play this here so I have the option to have double blue next turn. Taking a lot of self-inflicted damage here. And what's the opponent have? Okay, they have their own Hedge Maze. Planar Genesis. Okay, this is very clearly, I think, Neo Brand. I'm not used to them playing Scalding Tarn. The question is, there are some games where they cast Hooting Mandrills, and in those cases, Endurance would be a good pickup here. But I don't think they have that many Hooting Mandrills. I could be wrong. They're also not that close to casting it. Say they have Fetch Land next turn. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They can't cast Hooting Mandrills. They have to put something else in their graveyard. So what I'm going to pick up is actually Street Wraith because I want to hit either Force of Negation or Subtlety. I hit neither. So that stinks. But next turn I can Steam Core Scholar. Or I could just sink into Stupor if they try to cast the Riders, the Allosaurus Rider. I think that's what it's called. And that way it burns 2 cards out of their hand. I don't want them to cast that card right now, though. No, they have Summoner's Pact for it. Darn it. Opponent might just have the win here. I mean, I think I did everything I could. I don't think I could have played this any better. And you know, we took the Inevitable Betrayals out of our deck. That card is sweet in this matchup. They Neobrand. Okay. All right. Yeah, go get Galta. Okay. And then all the boys are coming over tonight. Yeah. Okay. Opponent has us by just enough. All right. Combo deck. gonna play Ashiok. I don't think Awaken's any good. I want Commandeer. I want Mystical. And do I want Dismember? I don't think I do. But let me make sure. Neoform. Yeah, so there's no point in time where I can dismember in response to Neoform because they sack the creature. Okay. Even though I said I like Endurance, I don't like it that much. I only want cards that interact with my opponent or are just part of my winning the game quickly plan. And I am on the play. The last card I will take out, I want to dig with Scholar. Subtlety is amazing. I guess I'll take out Curator. Okay, this has Subtlety in it. That's good enough. I can even Sky Turtle rebuy Subtlety. Subtlety is plus value when you use it in this matchup. I'm just gonna do this now. Yeah, I've got all the colors. And I don't need to wait, but I mean, I should be waiting, but I'm just kind of, I want to play quickly. And then next turn, I'm going to go Curator Int, so I want untap. Okay. I already have the Subtlety, so I don't need to dig for too much at the moment. I really enjoy this matchup. They're kind of a similar deck to us, but the thing they're doing is actually like more restrictive than the thing we're doing. So we get to be a control deck, like relatively effectively. All right. Well, I already got the Tomb. Life total doesn't generally matter. Do we think that they have Harbinger of the Tides? I don't think they do. They're not fetching like they do. I think they would have got a Forest. They haven't been to Forest. I'm going to make the conscious decision to not play around Harbinger of the Tides. I've already got untap, so I'll get another tap. Just give it a little tap tap. Tap tap taparoo. Alright, Nightmare draw. Steam Core Scholar would have been good there. Question is, if I play Misty, I can use Subtlety and rebuy Subtlety. So I'll do that. If they don't do anything, I can then Surveil with Misty. This gives me more options at the moment. Opponent's also doing nothing. It's not necessarily good for us, though, because they're sculpting their hand to go off. I will top Mystical. Do you like that? This matchup's a little bit like Belcher, but it's better for us than Belcher because the thing they're doing is harder to do, and they don't have as much interaction. They don't get the cheap creature into Flare of Denial. After a long deliberation, our opponent passes the turn and we draw our second living end. Don't even have black mana to suspend it. I will top that just to try to draw more subtleties. After a long deliberation, our opponent passes the turn and we draw our second living end. Don't even have black mana to suspend it. I will top that just to try to draw more subtleties. Okay, opponent tops and leaves it. Or they fetch, I mean, and then they surveil and leave it on top. All right, is there anything I want to buy back with turtle now that I'm doing absolutely nothing with my life? No, I still think not. I still have enough blue cards. Opponent has to discard. They discard Galta. All right, we're not going to cast. All right, I'm going to use this against my better judgment. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I wish I just had another. No, I don't want to suspend Living End because Galta is in their hand or in their graveyard. Yes, and I think I want Ashiok. No land, unfortunately. Gosh, these Living Ends. Not only are they bad because we can't do anything with them, they're not even blue. I wonder if our opponent realizes they could just cast Shepherd right now and it wouldn't even be that bad. We have Turtle, but if we didn't have that, like, what would we do? Picking up that Ashiok did put some pressure on them to act this turn. I'm not sure how much. Yeah, Hooting Mandrills is whatever. I don't think that's worth a subtlety. And they realized what I was just talking about. Just pressuring us might be good. Just with any creature they can put in play. I'm going to bounce it because I want to play Ashiok next turn. And Neobrand's not an instant, or Neoform's not an instant, so they can't do anything there. Another land would be good. Boom. Not the best land, but better than nothing. And I guess our plan is just let Overlord tick down. All right, opponent doesn't want to do it anymore. I don't even think that they were necessarily disadvantaged there. I'll put an Endurance back in the deck. And I think I'll take out another Curator. No, I'm going to leave Curator and take out a Steam Core. We might not even get a third turn. The Endurance is just there if they start loading up their graveyard and doing nothing again. All right, this is a good hand even though it's only 6 cards. I'll keep that. It's got everything you need to beat them. It just doesn't have a great long-term plan. Generous was a great draw there. Accidentally skip first main. What about second main phase? And I think I'm actually going to use Generous Ent first. That leaves the maximum number of blue cards in my hand. There might come a turn in the future where I need to use both of them. I'll go ahead and get, we already have black. I'll get the Hedge Maze. Opponent is not playing like someone that has a copy of Harbinger of the Tides in their deck. I want me some of that. Yeah, it's just I'm just blue maxing at the moment. Generous Ent, not a threatening card against us. If we put a Generous Ent into play, they just bounce off each other forever. Okay, would I cycle Curator of Mysteries this turn? I think so. Got enough blue cards in my hand for the moment. Opponent's thinking about our upkeep. Ooh, that's a good one. All right. Yes, I will pay the life. And maybe Ashiok will just steal another game here. Got a lot of counter magic to back this up as long as we get to their turn. And we could force them to burn a spell here. That's also acceptable. Maybe that'll make them feel comfortable doing something. All right, I guess not. Opponent could Hooting Mandrills again. Yeah. I mean, we might just have to deal with Big Monkey. I don't think it's worth pitching Subtlety for this. That could also be Famous Last Words. Because it does kill me in it kills me in 4 turns. Had to do some math there. Had to consult my friends at NASA. Oh, jeez. Okay. I'm going to do this because they can't do it again. And I'm going to plan to fight on their turn. And now we just need our deck to bail us out. Well, looky there. Did our deck go and bail us out? I mean, we don't have great attacks. But if I do something like... Do I want to top Charlotte's Agent even? Because it's never attacking. Nothing I have is attacking well. It is another blue card. And I don't really care about this generous... Actually, yes, I do. Darn. I just gave them a creature. Alright, I'm going to bottom. Wait, no, I could have... Darn it. Oh, I didn't need to click on it. I screwed that up so bad. Just don't click on it is all I had to do. Gonna play the land. Alright, well, that was a big dumb move by me. I gave him a creature. They can go get a 7-drop now, like a Traxa. Hopefully they go for it. Oh, man. Planar Genesis. Okay, that doesn't do anything. That's just card filtering. Hopefully I draw Sky Turtle here. Or another bounce spell. Yeah, I did not think this through. Generson is so good in this specific situation. Like, oh my gosh, I could not have played that much worse. 6 cards in hand to 2. Okay, opponent attacks. That's not what I expected. That's not at all what I expected. Why would they attack? What am I missing? Now I can hit with both flyers. Yeah, they can enter the Flood Maul, but that doesn't matter. Okay, Endurance not a good draw, but it's at least something to cast. And now if they want to get into a pattern where we're attacking each other, I'm attacking for 7 and they're attacking for 5. We both have a food token, so that's kind of neutral. And I'm never casting this Int. So let's go get a Surveil land. I think I need more blue. There could be a turn where I cast 2 Force of Negations. Okay, so I have 5 lands next turn. So next turn I can cast Overlord, hold up a force, or Overlord, Ashiok, pitch force on their turn. I think I'll keep that on top. Okay. We are stumbling through this game. I don't think attacking favors them. So I kind of hope they do it. They force cycle again. They're like, I'm the graveyard deck now. What if they had a living end but for planeswalkers? How cool would that be? Because they've got one for enchantments. It's called Resurgent Belief. So I don't care about this at all. I'll take the damage. And if I don't have to force anything, then my plan works. Neoform or Neobrand or whatever it's called is an instant, or not an instant, so I can do this on their insta. Man, I'm bad with magic card names. I got Big Tree, got Flyboy, got Blue Guy, Elkman. Okay, we have Overlord. Maybe they'll just scoop to this. I mean, they're also dead on board. Did opponent consider that they're dead on board? Sorry for my slow play. My mouse kind of sucks. Yes. Is opponent scooping? No, they pact of negation. Okay, well, here's the thing. If I force this... All right, is it better to force this? I'm attacking for lethal. That occupies all of their mana next turn. It's not lethal because of food token. Okay. Is it better to force this, but then be defenseless on their turn? I'm going to... No, never mind. I can't. Never mind. All right. Forgot what turn it was. That ties up like all their mana next turn, though. So I was wrong. We don't have lethal because they have food token. They gain the life. But we still gonna hit them up. This puts them dead next turn, even if they leave back 2 blockers. That's all their lands. Okay. Opponent needs a free fog next turn to win the game. There's another Ashiok. How lucky are we? Nourishing Shoal? Was not expecting that. This is an old version of this. I didn't think they were still playing Nourishing Shoal. Anyway, I'm happy for you or sorry that happened. Still got Force Pitch on their turn, so we're doing fine. All right, 2-0. Round 3 here with Bug Living End. Fun fact about me, I actually got poison ivy this weekend, pulling weeds out of my yard earlier in the week. I didn't think there was any poison ivy, and I wore gloves anyway, and I still got it. It's looking like it's probably energy, and even though this is kind of a bad hand, this is a good hand, I think, against energy. I'm going to get... I already have my breeding pool, so I'm going to just get... Let's see. I'm just going to get Island here. and Forest Cycle. Well, Swamp Cycle, you know, for a Forest. Not the best hand. Endurance was an okay draw. I'm going to play that tapped. Because I don't have a Cascade spell, I don't really value using Turtle right away. I thought maybe I would. That's why I got the Shock Land there. I could have got a Surveil Land, but I wanted to give myself the out of drawing a Charlotte's Agent. And then Turtle would be good. And then I would need a third land that would also be untapped. Although I guess I had that the whole time with Odawara. So I missed a free Surveil there. Opponent's probably wondering what I'm doing over here. Maybe we'll get in a Johnny next turn, but I kind of doubt it because I'm going to shock this breeding pool. Oh, nice. We just get Charlotte's Agent anyway. I'm just going to go all in. This gives me extra endurance. My hand's not really getting better if this game goes long. And if they untap, they could have Goblin Bombardment. They could have, like, Fable, the Mirror Breaker. So I just want to get as much power in play as fast as I can. It would be nice if I had a blue card, but being kind of a beggy chooser here. And we get to tuck away that Ajani too, which is a little bit nice. And now they've probably got to use like Static Prism on this troll because this thing is hard to block. What's opponent have? Season Pyro? Yeah, good thing we didn't give them the opportunity to discard a bunch of stuff. Opponent discards 2 creatures. Man, using Living End what I did was a genius play there. And this is pretty nice now. We're going to have Force of Negation. I don't see a reason to hold anything back. They can triple block the troll. They instead opt to trade with Charlotte's Agent. A little bit surprised they wouldn't use the actual creature, Season Pyromancer, to do that. It has utility in the graveyard, and they still have red permanents. Ocelot Pride, can't do anything about that. Yet. They dash Ragavan, but they don't have any life gain yet, and they used all their mana there. Okay, well, this Ajani actually could be annoying, except I do have Odawara. Just going to go to combat and attack with everybody. And then if they try to block with the cats on the troll, I'll bounce. You want a cat to die. So the way combat damage works, I'm pretty sure I don't even have to kill that cat. But I think I want to. Am I right about that? Like, I could just steal 3-0. Is that better? Hmm. So my options are if I go 3-0, how's that better? They have 4 creatures. They attack with Ocelot Pride. They gain life. And then next turn, they have 5 creatures to block. So I think I do just want to play it this way. Do I want to use the Otawara now, though? Is there any merit to just like... Because next turn he's going to make a cat, deal damage to me. And then it's 3 creatures. If I bounce this thing now, he's going to play it again and have 4 creatures. I still think I don't want him to get the Planeswalker, though. So shame our living end wasn't bigger. I can still Force of Negation, although I kind of want to cast this Steam Core Scholar. Opponent's graveyard's actually kind of good. And they do have the city's blessing. So they're about to get a lot of cats. I'm going to counter that. A little bit unfortunate there. I don't get to use Steam Core Scholar. But they used... Okay, they used all of their mana, though, so they can't replay a Johnny. They attack... Oh, they should only attack with 1. Because then they could have enough cats plus Ragavan to block. Oh, but they get a token and then they can... Alright, so they can still cast Johnny. So they're going to get... At the end of combat, or at the end of turn, they're going to get an Ajani token. They're going to get a lot of tokens here. Yeah, okay. Gosh, this deck is good. Alright. This is the kind of situation where that Aven with the jump ability would be really good. Windcaller Aven. Now I would like another Cascade spell. That counts. Alright, if I attack, they block with 3 cats. 1, 2, 3. And then they have a Johnny. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. And then 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I want to hang back. I want to block Ocelot Pride if given the chance. Yeah, I don't think attacking's good there. If they had just like nothing in hand, maybe attacking could work, but there's so many cards that kill us, and we have Cascade next turn. Well, we got Static Prisoned anyway. They still might not have a way to flip a Johnny, though. They can't cast Flage with their current board state. They need one more card in their graveyard. And does this put us dead to their Flage trigger? Yes, it does. Darn it. Well, the thing is, we get a food from Generous Imp, but because of app and app order, we won't have the food at the time. Darn it. I really thought we had a chance here. We won't get the food in time to win. So my triggers will go in the stack, and then theirs will go in the stack, and then Flage will resolve and hit me. Alright. Usually I leave some Street Wraiths in, but with Sultai, you sideboard a little different than Bant. I think I want Foundation Breaker. Kind of like Awaken on the play. Is Harbinger good against them? I mean, this is how Merfolk beats them, but is this how I beat them? What's the final cut? I think another curator. Oh no, hang on. There we go. Alright, we're gonna have to do this the hard way. That's another super mid hand. But we're not guaranteed to see better with 6. And if I put an Overlord on top, so be it. Opponent leads on Ragavan. Waken the Honor Dead, not a bad draw there. Let's go get Mortuary. Don't need Sink into Stupor. And if they have kind of a slow turn here, Awaken could be quite good. But if they hit Blood Moon here, the game just ends. I could have played around Blood Moon. Fortunately, it's just Fable the Mirror Breaker. Alright, I'm going to go get a Forest, I believe. Commandeer might have been interesting if we didn't have the hand we have. Actually, I'm just going to get Island. And I think take out the enchantment. And I'll just deal with these 2 creatures. I can Endurance block next turn. We're still pretty dead to Blood Moon. Well, no, Otawar can get around Blood Moon. You may be asking why Commandeer for this matchup. It's because they play a lot of stuff during our combo turn, like Orm's Chant or Raven Charm, that we can steal and kind of steal a win when the opponent leaves up mana. What they hit there? They hit a Shardless Agent. That sucks. And they can cast it too. Remember Amped Raptor? Well, he's back. Hopefully they hit something stupid. Well, that's not stupid. That's really good. Alright. Well, Goblin Bombardment, it effectively cuts your life total in half. And Guide of Souls. I can't do anything about any of this. I'm pretty much dead already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we come back. I mean, I'm basically dead even if I draw Living End right now. This is 7. And then if I Living End, 8, 9, 10. So I'm at 3 if they deal no more damage. Okay. Need that Charlotte's Agent. Mill 3. Do I hit one? No. Okay. Well, We lose. On to round number 4. Round number 4 with the best deck in the world. It looks like we're going up against Energy again. In this game I have Subtlety. And, jeez. Being on the draw against Energy is such a beating. Because I got these Surveil lands to fill up my graveyard, I'm going to Subtlety that. I don't usually like... Well, I mean, I just don't like playing against this deck at all. The games feel scripted. The games you win and the games you lose feel like they couldn't have gone any other way. I think this is terrible Magic design now that this whole deck was just contained within the Modern Horizons 3 set. It's really boring. I think Wizards is lazy. And they're just pushing busted cards to force players to buy them. Instead of designing around the standard format, which is what the game should all have to go through. But anyway, yes, I realize the irony of saying that with a handful of Modern Horizon spells, but it's the only way to play this archetype anymore, which I've been playing for years. Whereas Energy players just had this deck printed and handed to them by Wizards of the Coast and said, here you go, this is tier 0. You'll win all your tournament matches. And you barely have to think. And on Magic Online, you don't even have to remember triggers. And you should definitely take 2.5 minutes and waste everybody's time. Like, what is opponent even doing here? Are they doing their taxes? And the sad thing is, they're not even a deck that gets punished by this because they can win the game in like 2 minutes. All right. After much deliberation, they put it on the bottom. Okay. So they either need lands or they've got excess 1-drops. All right, that was a pretty good draw. I'm glad we got to bin that at least. And now I can do absolutely nothing, and endurance doesn't matter, so I'm just going to F6. There's some consolation when you're playing against like a control deck and they take forever. At least they get punished later on when they time out. But, I mean, friggin' Energy players, they could walk away until there was like 11 minutes left in the match. Alright, Street Wraith, not a bad draw. And now we gotta wait for our opponent, who's making dinner, I guess. Maybe they're installing a new mailbox. My neighbors have a... My neighborhood's kind of cursed when it comes to mailboxes. When I got this house a year ago, there's just a colony of bumblebees. All right. Well, I did all that complaining, and then the opponent just scooped. From the whole match. All right. 3-1. Okay, round number 5. I didn't even get to finish my story about mailboxes because our last opponent just scooped before we could do anything. Ugin's Labyrinth. Sire of 7 Deaths. Chalice of the Void. Did this guy look us up? They might just remember me because I only ever play Living End. Yeah, sure. I guess that makes sense. I mean, I guess this is the Living End account now. I think I post more Living End content than anybody else in the entire world. All right. Odawara is a way to deal with Chalice of the Void, so that was good. I wonder if that is indicative that our opponent has multiple Chalice of the Voids. If that's the case, I don't want to show them that I'm Living End because they might put another one on 1. That on its own isn't too threatening, so I'm not going to look for a Subtlety. I don't have excess blue cards anyway. Now it's pretty obvious what we are. If our opponent does draw any excess Chalice of the Voids, they'll play them on 0. So, I mean, if they don't have a super fast start, I guess I'll look for a Subtlety now. Oh wait, it wouldn't have mattered. I don't have an extra blue card. All right, it the heralds the end. All right, we may not have until turn 5. They bog us. I don't really care about that. Let's go get another tap land. Anyway, what I was saying was that my mailbox had a colony of bumblebees living in it. I feel bad for the mail person, but they were never like aggressive bumblebees. You could walk right up to them and they didn't care. But I'm wondering if they bothered the mail person because one day, like a year later, I got home and there's just like a pile of dead bumblebees under my mailbox. I don't know if the bumblebees did like spring cleaning from the prior year and dragged all the bee carcasses out, or if the mail person just brought like a canister of like bee killer and just went to town on my mailbox. Either way, my neighbors next to me now have a colony of hornets living in their mailbox. And my neighbors don't really take care of their house. They're kind of a peculiar family. They're like relatively wealthy, but they bought the cheapest lawnmower and it takes them like 4 hours to mow their lawn because they have to charge it and they have a big lawn. They have a bunch of furniture sitting on their porch uh, that like needs to be thrown out or brought inside. It's not even like normal furniture. It's like a refrigerator. And anyway, their method to get rid of the colony of like hornets or yellow jackets that live in their mailbox was they hung up some cut in half water bottles on strings that look like they're full of gasoline and those are dangling from their mailbox. And I guess the gas fumes are going to kill the yellow jackets. Do I want this card? No, I don't have extra blue cards and I want to use endurance next turn anyway. So like, what do you make of that? I don't know. Like if I had hornets, I would if I wanted them gone, I would just get some hornet killer from like Home Depot and just go to town on it because I've got hornet killer. And I do go to town on hornet nests when I see them at my house. I go all the way to town. And my town's got like 100 people in it. Anyway, all that to say, our opponent's killing us pretty quickly here with Glaring Freshwaker. Hopefully they attack into my endurance and they'll maybe rage scoop like the last opponent. Wonder what they'll do here. This is a pretty obvious endurance, I thought. Do they have enough mana for Kozilek's command? Yeah, they do. I forgot about the guy. I thought they said to tap to sacrifice, but they don't. All right. Exile target creature. Well, that's a big sticky wiki. And I think I'm just going to concede this game. I don't see a way out of this. All right. Against them, I just want like all my spot removal. I want Commandeer. I think I want Harbinger. This is activated abilities of artifacts, but I care more about creatures. Bringing in these things. I bring in a lot for them. Holy smokes. All right. What don't I want? I guess we'll get rid of Curator, a Force, another Force, because I have all these disenchants now. One Steam Core, Subtlety. I think Street Earth is good. I'm going to take out Halo Forager because artifact decks don't have any trouble getting rid of the graveyard. I'm going to leave all the Overlords in. Got to get rid of 2. I guess Endurance. All right. Quite a bit of sideboarding there. And golly, how many games in a row have we had a reasonable hand, but not a good hand that had Living End in it? I'll keep. Opponent exiles Devourer of Destinies. Alright, I got one Living End left in my deck. Probably should have played Hedge Maze there. Because now I need to shock. Whereas if I draw a basic next turn, and they play like a Chalice of the Void, I'll have to take more damage for Foundation Breaker. So I'm not playing the tightest Magic at the moment. The Cavern of Souls on Eldrazi. Kind of like how this is all yellow. It's kind of neat. I've got the blue one, but it doesn't pop like that. And if opponent Ding Dong Diddle does nothing, then I don't know if I'm gonna. Yeah. I'll just put the troll right in the graveyard. Hopefully they just tap out for some stupid artifact here. I will not be using subtlety on any if that heralds the ends. Soul Guide Lantern. Well, at least we can take that out with Funny Bee. There is a basic forest. I shouldn't have surveilled first, but I actually want to draw that. This game seems like it's going a little bit slow, and so I think just Counterspell might be good. That was a huge mistake, though, playing my Surveil land, where if it was like some creature I didn't want, and I binned it, they would just get it with Soul Guide Lantern here. And obviously you stack the triggers. When you do this, you click on Evoke first, and that way it'll die after the graveyard kill spell goes away. That can be a bit of a challenge when you start playing Modern or you start playing Magic Online, but once you get used to that, you just pretty much always quick Evoke first, unless you want your card to be in the graveyard when his second ability resolves. It is not intuitive how that works, though. Okay, opponent does nothing, and yeah, I kept that counter spell on top because now I'm covered for creatures and non-creatures. And my graveyard's so bad right now, I'm not going to bother with Living End. I'd rather get some of their creatures. I so much prefer being Bant for this matchup because Clarion Conqueror does so much work. I'm not going to counter that. How funny was that last round? We just spent like 5 minutes just going off about our opponent, and then they scooped. It was like they could hear us. I think what they realized was that they were a net decker, and they didn't even play a cool deck, and they realized they just wanted to do something else with their life. Sowing Micah Spawn, screw everything about you. Can't be countered. This is another terrible design. Another Modern Horizons 3 abomination. At least they're not killing my land, though. Alright, I'm just going to commence the jiggling, and I'm going to let this resolve and then flash in Subtlety. Yeah, 4-mana creature. Just tutor up another soul land with no drawback. And now because the beatdowns are on, I'm going to play Subtlety. No way I was letting him top this. It even has stupid art. Look at this thing. That's not even a Magic card. This guy's cool. He's like a cloud. He's got flying. There's some water. This is just like the Flood from Halo. There's just like some teeth and mushrooms and tentacles. It's everything about this card is atrocious. And we're just going to lose easily because of how stupid all their cards are. If you're an Eldrazi player and that hurts your feelings, I don't dislike you. I just dislike these cards. You have all these add 2 mana lands. You know, in Legacy, you've got to take damage for this, or you've got to sacrifice your other land. Like no other, you don't even need to play Tron now anymore to be the big mana deck in the format. All right, hopefully our plan of casting on-curve creatures will beat their infinite combo. Okay, I don't care about that at all. It'll be interesting what they name. Are they going to confirm my hypothesis that they're just naming Inevitable Betrayal now because they know? Nope, they went for Living End. Okay. Did I already discard a Living End? Yeah, I did. That's how they knew. Bajuka Bog, ha. No one likes you, Bajuka Bog. Like, you might say, oh, Living End, that's a cheesy deck too. Well, I still use lands to cast my spells for the most part. And when I don't use lands to cast a spell, the creature dies. Or it's Force of Negation and it's just, totally broken. But we pretty much need Force of Will now in Modern because the cards are so ridiculous. At least my Curator can block this. Alright. Good thing I played Curator. You know, if this was still a 3/3, I'd block it. I'm just going to get rid of the thing that does the most damage. It only has haste. It doesn't have first strike. And should I even attack now? In what many might consider a peculiar move, I'm going to surveil before I do anything because I want to know what's on top of my deck. That's not good. That's a bad card. Well, so if I attack, he hits me to 5. Okay, something I could do is block. If he does anything that's not a creature, I can hardcast Flare, and then next turn I can Living End, so I think that's what I'll do. If for some reason he attacks with it that heralds the end, I'll block that. But I mean, look, he's got an extra card in his hand because of this, so he can just put that right back in his hand. Hopefully this is a non-creature spell. And it exiles it, so I don't even get it back later. Alright, at least this is a little bit more of a table flip when I cast Living End. The Curator still just has to block the Line Breaker, and he still has Devour. Alright, that could have been worse. Yes, use the ability. Return. Curator, because I can use it again. Cycle Curator. And cast Charlotte's Agent. Oh, that's right, I can't because I forgot. Disruptor Flute. Alright. Well, thanks for watching, guys. That league was a little bit stinky, but even though I didn't play the best, I don't think this version of the deck is very good. I think people that were seeing success with it were probably overperforming, and they would probably do just as well with Bant. That's my official opinion. I don't know how much more I'm going to play with Sultai, because I feel like I'm just burning through tickets. Not tickets, play points, but you know what I mean. Let's open some chests. I'll open the chests for all you people still watching. Feel like you deserve it. Look how fast my Magic Online is. 6 chests. What we get? 85 play points. I guess it could be worse. Couldn't be much worse, though. We have Temple of Milady. And nothing else. Thanks for watching.